You are about to listen to an interview with a blade of Kentucky bluegrass. This skit was inspired by the wonderfully creative podcast Everything is Alive with Ian Chillog. The podcast explores the secret lives of things. Every episode is an interview with an improv actor who plays an inanimate object. This skit was written and narrated by me, SaharKhelifaA. The artwork for this skit was also done by me with the help of some paint and a blade of Kentucky bluegrass. Special thanks to my sister Amani for graciously agreeing to play the host of this interview. Hi, my name is Sahar and I am a blade of Kentucky bluegrass.
Could you describe yourself to our listeners who maybe don't know what you look like?
Okay, so I have long running roots that are entangled with all the other grasses in my colony. I'm about a foot high. Sometimes I can get taller. And my head is a cluster of these small green flowering spikelets that are hanging by a thread, and they spread out like a pyramid.
And whereabouts do you live right now?
I'm growing in a swale right now. In a small neighborhood park in Regina, which I am told is in the province of Saskatchewan.
That's right.
And a country called Canada.
Would you say you're from Saskatchewan?
I actually come from other parts of the world, Europe, North Asia, North Africa. But my ancestors came to North America with the Spanish settlers. And since then, we have gone forth and multiplied. We pretty much get comfortable anywhere we go. And right now, you can find us everywhere, in parks and meadows, pastures.
Sure.
Saskatchewan does feel very much like home to me, and I know that we're very popular. Many of my distant cousins are used to make lawns, which are very common in North America.
They sure are. Are you ever disliked?
There are places that I'm not welcome. I know we're not welcome in the native grassland areas of this country, and, I get it. These guys were here first, and we're like their uninvited relatives. I have a deep respect for the original grasses of the prairies, and I would not want to mess with those guys. They have a right to be there. We know what happens to those of us who wander out in the wrong grounds. We are called invasive. And we get torn out, thrown out, and it's never happened to me personally, but I hear it is awful.
And do you like where you're living right now?
I would say I'm in a pretty good location in the swale. I'm closer to the top of the swale, so not near the water at the bottom, and I'm near the footpath. So I get a lot of park action, which is really interesting. I still get a lot of sun and water, which I need, but the activity is always nice.
So tell our listeners just what a day in your life, what kind of things do you see?
I see a lot of feet, human feet, running, walking, alone, in groups. And I see a lot of furry, four-legged dog feet. The humans, they don't come at me too often, but the dogs, we interact. Sometimes it's unpleasant. They try to sniff me and trample me, which I don't appreciate, by the way. But being the way I am, there's very little I can do about it, and I'm comfortable saying that I am a passive creature. So I've come to terms with it.
So Sahar, you're a food source for a number of animals. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have lots of insects that come visit me, grasshoppers and beetles and caterpillars of every kind. They come by for a snack throughout the day.
And I hope I'm not hope you don't take offense, but I mean, how do you feel about being eaten by these animals, if that's okay to ask?
Yeah, it's okay to ask. Well, it's what I do. It's my contribution to society. It's one of my many reasons for being, and I take great pride in it. It's not all about watching myself be consumed in front of myself. It's a time that I use to get to know everyone.
And what kinds of things do you chat about?
We make small talk mainly, talk about the weather and the soil conditions, and sometimes they'll tell me about their day, and I'll tell them about mine. My favorite visitors, though, are the birds. They will hide in between us sometimes, and sometimes they'll nibble. The birds, they tell me the most amazing stories of where they've been and where they're going. And sometimes I dream that I'm a bird and that I fly and travel to all these places. My spikelets and my leaves would be my wings, and I haven't figured out how the root situation works yet, but somehow I'd be detangled from the rest of my colony, and my roots would become my tail, and I would float and fly in the air, and I would go to places. I would go to the other side of the swale and see how my siblings are doing there, or maybe I'd fly back home to Europe or Asia and I'd visit the grounds of my ancestors. That would be amazing. Once I told my brother, who grows right next to me, about my dream, and he said I probably wouldn't like flying because I would miss the ground too much, which might be true, I guess.
As a human, I can definitely relate to this. We dream about traveling too, but maybe your brother was trying to say that he himself would miss you too much.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Or maybe you could go together.
Well, I've never seen two birds fly while being stuck to each other, so
Gotcha.
I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, neither do I. But what do you most like to do in your free time when you're not being trampled or daydreaming?
Well, my favorite thing to do ever is to dance to the beat of the wind. I'm an excellent dancer. Everyone in my colony is. And when the wind is out, we will dance together in a perfectly synchronized routine. It's an amazing feeling.
Okay.
I wonder sometimes why everyone else doesn't dance to the beat of the wind. The humans that pass me by, the dogs, they never stop and sway when the wind is out. And I think they should try it sometime.
I think you're right. What else do you think that humans should try?
I think humans should try to root themselves in place. Any place they feel at home, any place they find themselves. In my experience, rooting yourself helps you to stay grounded so that whatever comes your way, you'll always find yourself standing strong.